Hey, what's up? This is Václav. Today, let's talk about those security cameras. A couple of days ago, I got an email from Reolink. It was something like, hey Václav, we like your YouTube channel on Home Assistant. We make video cameras. Would you like to try some? Well, it wasn't the first time I got similar email. I got a few of those before, and usually they end up in my trash. But before I delete them, I usually check their product. I search for it on the internet, search reviews, go to their website, check the product specification, check their eShop. And I'm thinking, is this product I would buy myself for my house if they wouldn't send me the email? And usually the answer is no. I mean, the product usually is non-existent, there's no details. I don't even know if it's real, the eShop is not working, no product specifications. They're either trying with a startup or it's even a fake. You never know what you're gonna get. With Reolink, this is different because I knew their product. I was actually thinking if it's really them because I was thinking to buy one of their cameras myself. I have 3 cameras already. I have 2 inside from Sonoff, and I have 1 from HikVision outside. This is a 4K security camera. But I was thinking to buy 1 more to the backyard, and I thought I'm going to make a video about that to show that to you, how to install it, how to integrate it with Home Assistant, and what can I do with that. I was even thinking to make a video about object recognition. So this was all in plan, and then I got this email. So that's why I replied, and we had a nice talk to their product manager, and we spoke about what camera would I buy. They have different product families, so we selected those Wi-Fi cameras, and I will tell you why. They also have battery-powered cameras, and they also have cameras where you can power them over Ethernet. So I selected those. But the reason I'm telling you this story is I wanted to make it absolutely clear that you know that I didn't pay for those cameras. They sent them to me for free. But they didn't tell me what to make the video about, what to say. They didn't want me to send the video to them for review before I publish it. So they have no say in what I'm going to say. So if I like them, I will tell that to you. If I don't like them, I will say that as well. And I will compare them with the cameras I already have. So with that out of the way, let's just open the boxes and let's show you what we have, and let's walk you through the installation process. So let's take the small one first. I'm gonna open the box, and here are the Wi-Fi antennas, and it looks like there's an Ethernet cable as well, so that's a nice thing. It looks like you'll be able to connect the camera over the Ethernet as well. And it looks like a power extension cord, a quick installation guide obviously, and there's a power adapter. And this one has those plugs for different socket types for European and UK, so I actually like those, they're nice. And now let's take the actual camera out. And there are those cables, and indeed there is an Ethernet cable and the power plug, and they're coming out of the bottom of the camera, so we'll have to accommodate for that when we mount that. So there are the infrared lights, and the camera is quite heavy. There is the QR code, and in the back there is the slot for the SD card, so it's quite nice. We can record it locally as well. So here we go, and let's take the bigger one, the 511W. It's a bigger box obviously, and when we open it, it will essentially look the same. So I'm gonna just skip that and just take the camera out. And here we go. The camera feels much heavier and actually bigger. It looks like it's very well built. It will be definitely waterproof. I quite like that. I think this is going to be my favorite one. So now we have them out. Let's get them configured. Now, before we configure them, let me walk you through the shopping journey. I spoke to Alan from Reolink, and I told him that I quite like their battery-powered devices, the Argus 2 or Argus 3, Argus Pro. They are cool. They're small. They're battery-powered, so I wouldn't have to install any cables. I would have just mount them somewhere, and they would work. They look cool as well. Unfortunately, they wouldn't integrate with Home Assistant. They require Reolink mobile or Windows application. They work with Google Assistant, but they do not support RTSP. So this was out of the question. Then naturally, we started talking about the cameras powered over Ethernet. And as you see, they have those RLC 410 or 511. There are similar models to the ones we decided for at the end, but they do not have Wi-Fi option. They're powered with the Ethernet cable. And that would be a great choice. But unfortunately, when we built the house, we didn't count with having the security cameras around the house, so we didn't install Ethernet. And because we have those brick walls, I would have to install and pull through Ethernet cables. It will be quite difficult. So this is the reason I decided for Wi-Fi cameras. And because I wanted to have cameras for outdoor, we decided for the RLC 410W or the RLC 511W. But you might have different needs and therefore choose a different camera. So I will configure the first camera from the mobile application. So I will install it and then open it. Then I can add the camera by scanning the QR code on the back of the camera. Now, here I made a mistake because I didn't screw in the Wi-Fi antennas, so it failed to connect to the device. So before I realized that, I have connected the camera to my Ethernet network, and then it saw the initialized device, allowed me to create the username and password. So I went for admin password. Then I named the device 410W and then configured the Wi-Fi. With that, the initialization was finished and I could go to the camera settings. But I didn't do that. I think it'll be easier to do it from the Windows application. So this is what I'm gonna do for the second camera. So this is pretty straightforward. Once I connected the camera to the network, again, it allowed me to create an account, password, name the device, and then I could go to configure it. Here are the settings, video settings. I could configure different resolutions, frame rates. There's 2 channels, so that's good to know. Sometimes the second one is good for like object detection. Looks like there's a motion detection. Infrared rates, this is something we will experiment with a bit later. And then let's go to network and configure the wireless network. So I'll again select my Wi-Fi, enter password, and it should connect. With that, I will move the cameras and install them outside, and I will play with them next day when there's a daylight. And because I wanted to compare both cameras and also compare them with the existing HikVision camera, I temporarily installed them one next to the other. So it looks a little bit crazy at the moment. Next, add the cameras to the Home Assistant. Now, Reolink currently doesn't have a core integration in Home Assistant, and this is going to change going forward. But more on that in a second. Until then, let's just add a standard ffmpeg platform. I will need to add the input, and for that I need the RTSP string. So go back to the Reolink website and search the support forum for the RTSP URL. And here we go. So I'm gonna just select it, copy it to the clipboard, and paste it in my configuration. Then I'm gonna replace the password with my password, which is password, change the IP address, and we're done. Then I can just copy this whole section and create configuration for the second camera. Rename it, change the IP address. Then let's go to configuration. We can check the config, make sure it's correct, and it is, so we can restart and the cameras should show up. Now let's see if the entities were created. Home Assistant now has this nice entities panel, so just press E, type cameras, and indeed the cameras are there, and if I click on it I can see that. So that's cool. Let's add them to my Lovelace. I already have a panel with cameras, so I'm gonna edit the dashboard, and these are picture entities, so I'm gonna just copy the existing one, paste it, and change the entity IDs. And here we go. I think it'll actually look better if I put them side to side. So I'm gonna edit it again, and I'm gonna change the order and save it. On the top left, this is the HikVision camera. To the right is the 511, and in the second row is the 410. It's the first time I see those pictures side to side. They look cool. Right off the bat, the 511 has wider view, and also we could see more vertically. It's great. I could actually see the entrance to the house. And remember, it's a zoom camera, so we can adjust that. Then there's the 410, which is a little bit more zoomed in. And also both of the Reolink cameras, they look a little bit more contrasty. So I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do in different lighting conditions. Right, so we have the camera working, but we can't control it from Home Assistant. So can we do it better? When I was searching for the integration for Reolink, I came across this pull request that is going to create a native integration of Reolink cameras in Home Assistant. Unfortunately, this pull request is still open, so it's not included at the moment. But they mentioned an integration from a Home Assistant Community Store that you can install it. So I went to Community Store and I wanted to add this integration, but it's not included. But you can add the Reolink Home Assistant Community Store repository. So this is the URL. You have to get the development one, copy this URL, add this to Community Store, and then you can add the Reolink integration into the Home Assistant. Now, if you're watching this video in the future, most likely it'll be already included in the core. So now we can add the Reolink integration. I will install the repository. I mustn't forget to disable the previously created configuration in the YAML, and then I can restart Home Assistant. Once it's started, we can go to integrations, add integration for Reolink, enter the camera's IP address. Our username is admin, password is password, and submit. You can also select the area now, so I'll say it's outside, and it's added. So we can add the second one as well, and we are done. So now I click on the device, it creates a number of entities. There is the actual camera. I'm gonna rename it to the same name I had before, so I don't have to update Lovelace. But there's also the switches for the infrared camera and motion sensors and so on. I'm gonna rename the second camera as well. And then I'm gonna go to the Lovelace to check that everything works. Yep, it's in there. So now let's have some fun. The integration uses the Open Industry Forum protocol. So it offers the PTZ commands to control the camera. So let's try to zoom in from Home Assistant. So there is a command PTZ control, and I can enter command zoom incremental, call the service, and indeed it works. It will zoom in. I mean, the issue with that is it will just zoom to the center. So if I wanted to use that, I would have to point the camera so there is actually something useful in the center. Right now, there's just a piece of grass in the center, so it wouldn't make much sense. I would have to think for the zoom camera how to position it. So I put the things I want to zoom to the center. Now let's look at the cameras in different light conditions. So this is 1 hour after the sunset, so it's not complete dark, and I also have Christmas lights. Well, the interesting thing is the HikVision camera is still showing the picture in color, whereas the Reolink, they switch to black and white. It's more contrasty, there's actually more detail, less noise. So arguably the picture might be more useful, you can see more things, but it doesn't have color. That's interesting. Now, I have turned off the infrared lights because the view actually has quite a large depth of field. And there's this large tree in front, which, especially in the summer when there are leaves, when I turn the lights on, it will illuminate the trees and they will become completely overexposed white, and the camera will compensate and turn the rest of the picture dark. Also, there are those street lights, so this is not completely dark, so I figured that for this camera it works much better if I turn the infrared light off. I went to the camera settings, and you can actually turn off this black and white feature, but the picture indeed looks much better. There's much more detail in this black and white, so I will leave it on. But it's kind of interesting that the HikVision in this light condition actually manages to get the color quite well. Now when I look at the cameras after midnight, when the Christmas lights are off, in here even the HikVision camera decided to go black and white. And if I compare the two, I have a feeling that the Reolink shows a little bit less noise and more detail in shadows, and overall a bit more contrast to your image. But I think both are usable, so it's just a little detail. So now that we have the camera configured and tested, let's finish the configuration in the Lovelace. I would like to add the controls to zoom it in and out. So I'm gonna edit Lovelace. What I've done in the meantime, I have changed the configuration to the grid card configuration, so I can easily go to the picture entity and change it to picture elements, so I can add the icons for zoom in and zoom out. So these will be the elements I'm going to be adding. So I'm going to change the type to picture elements. Then I need to change the entity into camera image. I leave the camera view and I need to remove the show name and show state. But then I need to add the elements. The first element will be a type icon, and the icon will be MDI magnify plus. So this is the zoom in. And I need to position it, so I will enter style and I will put it to the top right corner. So it'll be 5% from the top and 98% from the left. So I will press OK and test it. And here it is, although I can't see it against the bright sky. Then we need to add the action. So it'll be tap action when I tap on the icon. Then I want it to call the service. So the action will be call service. The service will be the Reolink integrations PTZ control. And then I need to add the service data. We've already tested that in the development tools. So I will need to add the entity ID with the ID of the camera. So I'm going to copy it from the top. Then I need to add the command. So it'll be zoom incremental. So now that we have it, I will add another icon for zoom out, so it'll be magnify minus. It'll be same service, but the command will be zoom decremental, and I will change the position so it'll be 10% from the top. So let's test it now. So when I press plus, I should zoom in. And here we go. I can see the icon a little bit better here. And when I press minus, it'll zoom back out. And I think it will do. So now that we have the elements, let's add 2 more elements. Let's add the swimming pool temperature and the outside temperature. This could be quite handy when I'm looking at that. So I'm gonna add icon MDI thermometer with the state label of the temperature outside and another one for the temperature in the swimming pool. And to make the video shorter, I have prepared that up front and just pasted that, but you can always pause the video and check the configuration. And this is how you add cameras to Home Assistant. I hope you found it useful, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!